Testing. Why does it look different? Was I always off to one side like this?
No, it
Or
still
maybe
seems
I
weird.
bumped the webcam like for the first time in a long time. And it should actually be facing this way. Slightly.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, it does look different. Honestly, it should be up a little bit more too.
Yeah, not as much on the chairs.
I'm a total professional doing this. Okay, yeah, Billy Bob's first one in here. So, welcome to regular podcast number 88. I'm Brian.
I'm Ben.
Nick is doing family stuff today, and also his mom's car is in the shop. So, he's now the driver for everybody. His SN95 Mustang is now the family taxi. So, that's what he's doing today. I was skiing yesterday. I have no gription in my right hand because I fell going down the bottom of the falls, which is the base of Challenge at Blue Mountain Ski Area. And what broke my fall was my thumb. So I hit my thumb first and I jammed it. So I can use it, but I have like a newborn's grip right now. So I put some kinesthetic tape on it to just like remind myself not to use it, to stiffen it up. It'll be fine in like a week. So, as Jocko Willink says, good. You get to learn. Now your left hand's going to get a workout, and in more ways than apart from what it normally does. But I'm safe in that regard since I've always been a lefty. So this has been, oh gosh, darn it,
McElwee,
because it's not pronounced how it's spelled.
Exactly. Everybody says McElwee, but yeah, McElwee is the actual.
McElwee, like the virus software.
It was
McElwee.
actually Macabahooty. That was the original Irish, they think.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Huh.
Macabahooty, son of the man with the yellow jacket, I think is what it meant.
No. Really?
Supposedly. Way back when. I'm sure it got, anglicized coming over here.
True. I don't know what my name originally was. Ride or something. It's German, but it's not really a German name because there's Ryder, which is also English, but that's spelled with a Y.
Right.
And I'm spelled with an I. So I don't know. There was like one professor who knew that it was a German name, but everybody else just says reader. And I'm like, I respond to that because it's like, it's that word with one name reversed.
Yeah.
This is a delightful topic of conversation. So happy Christmas Eve to everybody. I still have to wrap presents. And what do you have to do?
All of my family is in like the Midwest or upstate New York, or so for me, it's all just mailing them. So that makes it a little bit easier. They were all going to come out here this year for Christmas. And then with everything going on, everybody just my sister's in Portland, Oregon, and she was like, yeah, I'm not flying out. So we just said we're going to do basically Christmas in spring or summer after there's a vaccine. And for now we have my dad's side has what will I'm sure be a 2-hour long Zoom call tomorrow. So we'll all kind of catch up there. And otherwise I'll hang out. My neighbors are usually who I hang out with for holidays and stuff too.
Oh, that's cool.
They're kind of an adopted member of their family. So.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Shout out to Taylor and Johnny.
Are they like a single couple? I mean, by single, I mean like no kids?
Yes. Yeah. So their families are all local here too. So they'll usually get together with them too. But like, at Thanksgiving, if there's an opening or other times, they're like, oh yeah, well just come down if you want to. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah. Usually it's a nice day to just kind of catch up with family and stuff anyway, because regardless, I can't make it to like Indiana, Missouri, Kansas, everywhere at the same time anyway.
Yeah. I think I'm just going over to my parents tonight to wrap presents and then just go over tomorrow. And then that'll be most of the day. And then go write another review. Nick just sent me his stuff and I'll write that. Everybody who's watching, there's going to be a Christmas special tomorrow, 7 a.m. usual time. I thought about doing a premiere, but whatever. It'll be up when you wake up. and that's going to be a very, very unusual machine. But people on Instagram have already guessed what it was. I just posted what was behind the back seat, and people knew what it was immediately. And also, my new hobby or life goal is people realized that it was after the video last week, like the fun video last week, they're like, this is probably, I know what this is. I hope I got all my facts straight, because I had to re-upload
your oil gate.
Yeah, the oil gate. You know what was the Sink Hardy moment when I woke up that morning and people were like, what are you talking about? 5W30 is thin. And I kind of like brushed it off, and then I went and gotten my 2004 Subaru Forester and looked up at the little oil change window cling sticker from Kramer's shop, and there it just says 5W30. It's like, oh, everybody uses this. This is nothing. All right, come back home, cut out the bad stuff, re-upload it, and now we're good. Yeah. So, anyone.
I was gonna say, I don't think anybody's judging you for it.
Nah, people on Reddit were pretty cool about it. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I screwed up on this. And there was this one guy who like gave me like Reddit platinum because I apologized for it.
Really?
Like, wow, no one does this. No one actually admits when they make a mistake, and everybody else on the internet just doubles down. And you did the opposite.
Like, yeah, that's awesome. True. Yeah, I think I had a 2015 GMC Sierra 1500.
Yeah.
And I want to say, somebody will correct me, but I think it took something like 0W30 or it was some ridiculous oil, but it took 7 quarts of it. I went for the first time for my oil change after like the first 3 the manufacturer gives you when you buy a new vehicle a lot of times. And I went to get my oil change, and they're going to be like $90. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, it takes 7 quarts of oil in that truck. I'm like, where's it going?
Washing around everything,
I guess.
I didn't have enough coffee this morning or something. I don't know. Usually I'm more energetic about these things.
It's a rainy day, too.
It's a rainy day, and I guess I'm bummed because it's going to rain on the mountain and start washing it. And that's not a problem, because Blue Mountain can blow snow when it's above freezing if they have to, because they have new refrigerated like snow guns up there. It's high-tech stuff. And I mean, they can't do it when it's like 45 degrees outside, but if it's like high 30s, they can still do it. And there's a good temperature difference at the top of the mountain, so they can make snow and then use the cats to blow it down. Blah, blah, blah. Skiing stuff. It wasn't even... Why did I have to land on my thumb? Why couldn't I just get a concussion like I do every year?
I feel like that is kind of the natural, though. Like, if I'm trying to stop myself, that would be what I do.
My thing was, I didn't let go of my pole as I went down. So it probably hit. Yeah. I went down, and I didn't want to lose my pole. Or it's like I didn't even think. I just my hand just kept circled around the grip, and so I braced my fall like that. So bam, went down like that. I'm like, oh, that's gonna hurt tomorrow.
It's a classic like winter injury, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like if it's not that, you do it like shoveling snow, or
you bend your wrist back or something like that.
Yeah.
Will I review Sam Hyde's Mark III Supra? I like emailed him, like, I don't know what he's doing. I never met him in real life. I mean, we did, I think, a quickie on the Mark III Supra and never a full review. Oh, it's raining outside and it's really dumb.
It was supposed to snow, and then the temperature kept going up and up. And here we are.
Live streaming. Even the gay porn is even gayer. And I'm using that word meaning lame and dumb. I saw a bunch on my After Dark Twitter, and it was Yawn City. No one cares. So let's get into it. And there was a bunch of super chats. I can get into them. I kind of want to just start at the top and get it over with and just have a little bit of taste May we start with the Utopia?
You bet.
All right.
No, I think we should anyway if we're recycling these glasses, because it would be kind of a discredit to Utopias if we didn't do it in that order. So this is Boston beer, Utopias. The brief history. So this really kind of traces its origins to Triple Bock, which is what Sam Adams started making in 94. So there's still a little bit of Triple Bock actually in here.
What is Triple Bock?
Triple Bock was the first experiment of like basically a very high ABV beer. It's an ale too, but basically over the years, then in 2002, Boston Beer launched Utopias. So effectively, Utopias is the highest ABV beer ever made.
Okay.
So it is technically an ale. It has like ninja yeast in it because normal yeast would die in that kind of environment, like that kind of alcohol content.
Okay.
So it's basically, though, it's aged in a bunch of different barrels, usually a lot of like bourbon casks, whiskey casks, sometimes others. So the taste, what you're going to get, it's like a lot of dark fruits and kind of toffee aroma and a few other kind of characters. But it's basically, I mean, it's a beer, but because of the alcohol content, it has no carbonation. It ages really well. So it can be, stable like this. You could buy a bottle and drink it over the years if you wanted to. And it's almost like, it reminds me the most of like almost like a sherry.
Okay.
So,
does it need to be refrigerated?
No.
Okay.
Nope. It is entirely stable. So this, obviously, the bottle, it's actually copper clad. It's supposed to look like a brew kettle.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea, but it's actually a porcelain bottle underneath.
Okay.
So that it can kind of stay fresh. And I'm probably butchering this. So if Jim Cook happens to watch your podcast, I'm not responsible for its content.
Yeah.
But this is so the way that I would drink it, this is the kind of the sensory element. I can smell it from here. Oh, it smells incredibly strong. I mean, if you just, and it's got good legs. If you swirl
what is
it
that?
little,
what does it mean?
Wine, where basically if you swirl it, see how it has those kind of ridges that will fold.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very strong.
Christ.
Yeah. It's and it's not nearly as bitter as it's going to smell like it is. It actually is very, very smooth on your tongue. But if you, so take a breath in, take a sip, hold it in your mouth for a second, swallow it, and then breathe out through your nose. And that way on the back end, you're going to kind of get that aroma of what this is.
Damn.
It's not like anything else you're going to drink.
Not. Yeah, if you gave this to me and didn't tell me what it was, I would assume it's a cordial of some kind.
So this is an 07, so there's a little bit, to me, more of that. You get more of the dark fruit than you do the this also has actually Vermont maple syrup in it. The brewing process, so you can get some of that sweet. I mean, obviously the yeast needs a ton of sugar with something with that kind of alcohol content, so that's why that's in there. But to me, I get more of the fruity side with this 07.
Yeah, this is definitely a take your time. What did you say the ABV was?
28.
Okay, so this is
56
above
proof.
a wine. Yeah.
So this is something, I mean, but it's like I brought it because it's like a special occasion drink, right? It's like a take it out, like you have friends over you haven't seen in a long time. You're like, I want you to try this with me.
I thought, do they? Oh, okay. These little bits move, and then you see Pete.
Yeah, you see Sam Adams in there.
Yeah. And that one doesn't move, I guess.
It's supposed to. I think that either I bent it or it was just bent when it got put on there. I mean, basically these come in and those get applied. So I don't know if it was just bent or what. Yeah. But I think we put those on.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's nice. And shout out to whoever makes these bottles. It's a nice bottle.
Yeah, I don't know where they come from. I'm sure it's some specialty manufacturer. I'm sure it's, we bottle this once. I mean, you could bottle it any time. Like it's aging in these casks all the time and they just get rotated through. And so it's kind of a bunch of different casks of different ages and different type. But, it comes out typically every 2 years. And like the last time it launched was 2019. And I think it was $230 retail.
Wow.
But like if you look on eBay now, they sell for more than that. There's people unsealed bottles are selling for $300-$400. And
Wow. Yeah. And just to put this in perspective, neither of us paid for this bottle. You happen to get it through your employment.
Mm-hmm.
So I am, and this is coming from a guy who likes to fly first class on coast to coast flights, but I couldn't see paying this much for something. I mean, maybe. Well, if my friend Tom came by, it was something that people who could appreciate this enjoy. At the same time, coming from a guy who just is ordering a car from Japan, and for what it is, like as a vehicle, it's like these are worth what? But then to people who are really super into cars, it's like, look, there only ever existed 16,000 of these cars. And of the ones that are manual, I think there's less than 2,000 ever made.
So that rarity.
So there's that.
Yeah.
No, and is this Tom texting me? Tom says regular Zoom beer reviews. Hey, we could do it.
Yeah, from Iowa. From wherever. You could do it from Tokyo.
I miss going to his bar, the Mucky Duck Pub. Well, it's not his bar, but he like runs trivia.
Oh, really?
And so it's super fun. I'm really bad at trivia, but Tom makes it super entertaining and fun. It's like whatever team I'm on, I'm gonna lose. Unless there's car questions, and or questions about like 1970s two-tone and ska music. So
that's the market. No, I like trivia, but my problem is I usually freeze under the pressure.
Yeah.
Like when it's like, okay, you have 30 seconds. I'm like, what? I forgot everything. I know.
Butt sex.
Yeah.
No. Come in my ass. Coming out my ass. Drink beer and 2 Elton Johns. Mona Lisa's and Manhattans and rose petal. It doesn't feel like Christmas is tomorrow.
I know.
Just
but hey, 2020 is almost over.
Yeah, it is.
And somehow everything is going to be resolved, and 2021 will be sunshine and rainbows.
I know, right? Well, I'll have my car, and I can just retreat into that and just kind of drive around. And
that when I bought,
what are you going to do next year?
I don't know. I mean, probably the same. I don't think it's gonna. That's the funny part. Like for me, so I work in a brewery. The brewery is still operating, so very little about my work side of things. Like we obviously adapted and changed, but it wasn't necessarily like, I'm still going in every day, and I live alone, so that part didn't really change either.
Yeah.
So no, it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't a drastic shift for me, but obviously there's still a lot of elements to it where I'm like the dating world, like the thought of like getting on whatever and like like Bumble or something and being like, oh, let me find a perfect stranger that I can start meeting and go like this. No,
let's put our face mouths against each other and breathe really hard as I pull the blanket over both of our heads as we undulate
with a mask on. That's what I mean. Like the romantic first kiss kind of loses its allure when it's like, now who have you been in contact with in the last 2 weeks?
Man, last night skiing didn't feel like there was any sort of pandemic. Like there were some people skiing in surgical masks, but everybody's just wearing their normal masks that they wear when they ski. And because the difference between the base of Blue Mountain and the top is like 1,000 feet. So it gets cold up top. And also the wind comes whipping over. So you're masked up anyway. Like for the moments when I was on the lift, off the lift skiing, I forgot about everything. And that was brilliant. I was jamming down Challenge, which is their double black, and it was nice and icy. So I was going freaking fast, and I was racing Greg and his daughter, Mary. Mary is in the 5th grade, and already she's an intermediate.
Really?
So she can hockey stop. She's not quite at parallel yet. There's some limitations. Like mentally, she knows how to do it. But now you're bumping up to what, a prepubescent human can do. Their muscle structure hasn't developed yet. So you just have to stress the fundamentals. But actually, honestly, if I was teaching her, I teach a little bit about pole plants, but it's not going to be until she's like maybe 14 that you could really start educating them on the higher levels, or maybe 13, 12, depending on where their growth spurt happens, and where muscles begin to develop, because the most important thing right now is they still enjoy skiing. If it becomes like a chore and it becomes work, and then they don't want to do it, and now any training you do for like more advanced levels of skiing just won't work. I saw that a few times with like parents who were trying to instruct kids who weren't emotionally ready for the assault of emotions that skiing brings, because it messes up your inner ear. Your sense of speed gets dilated. Even a beginner will be going like 10 miles an hour, and that's faster than most people can run. And it's just you and your boots and your skis going down this, and realizing that you're now fighting gravity. Your thigh muscles are getting worked to an insane degree, because it's like one constant half squat that you're doing for like 5 minutes. And then so you got to take it slow going down the hill. And also your inner ear, when you begin skiing, fights you, because your center of gravity moves. Because right now, when you stand, your center of gravity is between your feet. Duh. But when you ski, it's in front of your toes. So when people start feeling off balance, they try to stand up. But you're slightly on an incline, and your balance is in front of you. So that's the equivalent of leaning back to stand up when you're on flat ground. And then you see people.
So that's where they just lose it.
That's where they lose it, and then they go sideways. Also relying too much on poles. And anyway, people are saying in the comments, I pee the oil I bathe in astroglide. Well, maybe we should get to some super chats. People have been.
All of those hobbies, I will admit the problem for me is I love them if they involve some sort of an engine or motor, or like skiing on the water. I don't know that I'm interested. A jet ski, yes, I will go out on a jet ski. Yeah, absolutely. So maybe I would try snowmobiles.
Man, I never rode a snowmobile ever.
I haven't either. I mean, around here, would it be worth it to own one?
There's like a few good years of a few good days, like in like sort of east, southern, central. We're just at the base of the Appalachian Mountains, so we're not high enough in elevation where it snows consistently.
Right.
So like after all the rain today, and then it's going to be above freezing tomorrow, some of the snow will hang around, the stuff that became concrete. I was out on my driveway yesterday, and busting up the concrete snow, the stuff that freezes and thaws and you can't bust it. But I found that the old camshaft works great. I hold it above the ice snow and just drop it.
Yeah.
And just boom, and it hits and it breaks it up. I'm like, awesome. Boom, breaks it up into big chunks. And then I hold it sideways so all the cams hit at the same time. And I'm like, it's a junk cam anyway. And the Falcon's gone. So what do I need this hunk of steel for? And I'm like, well, this thing's got sharp edges. It breaks up the snow.
Wand now.
Yeah, I'm going to keep that thing forever. It's going to get real rusty. Boris TS Karloff. What would Joe Biden say about the Dodge Avenger? Can I do Biden right now? Again, my Biden is not Joe Biden. It's Nick Mullen doing Biden.
You're going to get stuck with this impression, though. You know that, right? Because it's a good impression.
Oh, thank you, Nick Mullen, for blazing the way in the Joe Biden. Victory. We're having to victory. Well, you got the Avenger. That was the TBM Avenger from the war when we fought the Japanese, and you came. Well, that could be a dive bomber, or that could dive bomb torpedoes too. And Dodge, that's an American company made in America. And eventually, the pasta, the Olive Garden country, they turn sides in the war. So it's just like you put your shirt and you turn it inside out, and that's your seat cover in your Dodge Avenger.
Mr. Biden, my question was about Israel-Palestine.
Well, that's very important right now. We got to take one thing at a time because American people want their $2,000 stimulus checks. So we'll give you 600 now and 2,000 later, so you get 2,000. Well, lots of my friends are Indian and Pakistan, like you said, have to work on their relations. I mean, it comes and it goes, and that's how we go.
He always does. He always does the trail up, trail
that's
down.
how we go, and now it go down and around. And you hokey pokey. It's not my best one, but thank you, Boris.
Did you see that meme about the $600 stimulus that was? I don't know if you watched Arrested Development.
No,
but the
I know of it, but no.
The mother character, the whole premise is she's just like this wealthy kind of aristocratic, and then has never had an understanding of money, and so the premise is like, well, it's a grand total of 9 months in a pandemic. Michael, how much could it cost? $600?
Yeah,
right. Surely that's all you need.
I'm not getting it. I know I'm not getting it.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh well. What would I spend?
It would just go into the bank account for
it would go in. It would go into the one bank account that pays for the electricity and I think Comcast, because that was in my old account. That was in my old account with the one you get in high school that eventually you get your parents taken off of it. It's a joint account, and it's a joiner, and it changed hands a few times.
You got to.
I don't have a good Biden right now.
You got to keep bringing Scranton into it somehow.
And you go up there in Scranton Wilkes-Barre, and you go to Montage Mountain, or you got Camelback too. See, that was a sex move back in Dover in the 50s. It's 3 people, but you don't know one of them. They're mysterious. We would take them. We would put an Estee Lauder mix and match. You'd get a tie dye. This was even before the 60s. You'd tie dye some Estee Lauder onto. Well, back in 53, we would call them mistress beaters, but you got a different word for them now. So you take the Estee Lauder and you smear it all over the shirt without the sleeves, and you wrap it around the other person's head like an indigenous people from Saudi Arabia. So that was the third one. And
Mr. Biden, the question was about trade tariffs.
Well, you're trading off that night between your significant other and the person from the United Arab Emirates. They'll come in and Mercedes with the in my day we called them don't pay your taxes doors. Then they call them suicide doors, and now they just come in and they're doing 360s on those. They got highways in the desert, and they come in through your door, and that's how you get your 3-way.
He's a good character to do, though, I feel like.
Yeah. It's like callbacks on your callbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to kind of make it make sense in a kind of memento way.
Yeah, you need sort of a bit of a circular coming back around to something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's all of these weird little paths that it takes the whole time.
Evan Collins says Volvo 240 Estate. The official car. See, that's still a Volvo 240 is a perpetual Pennsylvania hipster car, because where we live, I don't know where the nearest Volvo shop is. Was there one in Reading, dealerships? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that's sort of it. I daily one I paid $400 for. That's a good price for Volvo 240 in the sweltering Kentucky summers with no AC. Wishing you yours a brown Christmas. Thank you. Yeah, it's still complete hipster mobile. Half of the shit in the car can't work.
Mm-hmm.
The engine has to work. I don't know if they had I can't remember the one we did. it's OBD1. So it had a code, but I don't think they followed OBD1. They had their own trouble codes, and it
Yeah.
just flashed this light. My friend Matt Walsh had a Volvo 240 sedan.
Well, they made them forever. They made them from what, like
Yeah.
80 to 92 or
Mhm.
93, something like that.
No, they're absolute swine. Like they're slow. Actually, that's not. Actually, pigs can go fast. You put them in the woods, and they change genders, and they get on the TRT, and they move. They move at a swift clip. Unlike the Volvo, I still haven't driven a turbo brick, so I still have to do that at some point.
I'm obsessed with them just because, like, the reputation is the build quality.
Yeah.
It's like after the nuclear holocaust, it'll be like the cockroaches, the Volvo 240, and the Toyota Land Cruiser. That's it. That's the only things that'll be left on the road.
Yeah. Phil McWonder. Hello, Phil. It's good to see you. How do you get your acoustic foam to stick to your wall? Mine keeps falling off. You can't see it in the frame, but above it, I drilled two drapery rods into the wall, and it just rests on that. Like, because it's a big corrugated, it just rests in between two of the corrugations, and it's just held up mechanically. It's not glued to the wall. All the stuff in my recording booth upstairs is glued to the wall. I asked Greg before I could do it, and he said fine. Greg is the guy who owns this house and the guy I was skiing with yesterday. I think you saw him like once or twice in videos. He's the guy who had the Integra GSR. Yeah, like the one below the Type R. We reviewed the Type R, and then he brought his GSR that he bought.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually his parents bought him new in high school, and he told me about that. Like, I don't want to bring that up with it, but they bought him in high school, a GSR. He's like, I don't know how I talked him into that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I guess they, hey, it's lasted. He graduated high school in what? Like, yeah, he was a senior when I was in 8th grade. So that meant he graduated in 96, the first half of the year. So yeah, he would have graduated. Yeah. And so he's 4 years older than me. So he's 44-ish. So the car lasted, well, yeah, next year that'll be a classic. So that car is 24 years old, not too bad, and it's still banging around. All the head bolts and valve covers. There's a lot of bolts that are just rusted shut, and that's the thing. It needs a new timing belt because it's way overdue.
Just on age or
on age and miles.
Really?
The thing has like 210,000 miles on it, and he just drives it. And of course, now he doesn't. It's like when that thing goes, that's trouble because you're gonna have to get like a torch on some of those bolts that hold the timing cover on because they're stuck in place. They're like gigantic piece of rusted metal now.
Well, that's an interference engine, isn't it?
I think so.
Most of those back in the 90s were.
Yeah. He was talking last night, like what he wants to do with his Integra. It's like, is it worth? Is an Integra GSX or GSR?
Yeah.
Is it worth repairing? Because there's body rust, and the engines probably needs a new engine. Like if I would do it, but the interiors has a lot of life in it. And by life, I mean it's been lived in. It was owned by a teenager to begin with.
Right.
And then he had mods and then undid mods and then put new mods on.
Yeah, but
and it lived right through the Fast and the Furious age.
Oh, that would do it too. My apologies. I thought this was turned off.
Does it work? Was it work?
No.
So he was open to the idea of a budget of $15,000, which would get you a new engine and it would solve some electrical stuff. But you still get the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you have owned it, I mean, he bought it. He had it from new.
Yeah, he's been the only owner.
I couldn't get rid of it. My buddy his dad has, I think it's a 74 MGB that he bought brand new. Like he's the only person who's ever owned the 74 MGB. And I was like you have to keep it. Like, you know what I mean? At this point in time, you have to.
I don't know what that emotional feeling is like because I still view cars as machines. Even though I love them, I let them go. Maybe it's the whole riding thing. You kill your children. You can't be too attached to the ideas. So because like Greg was wondering why I chose to sell the Falcon, not only during the pandemic, but wintertime. It's like you could have got more money, and I probably could have, but I just wanted to be done. Like there was joy in driving it, but there wasn't the elation in it anymore.
Yeah, when you get to that point, I mean, when you make that call, you got to kind of do what you got to do.
I wanted to. I kind of see when people ask me like, what sort of fun car should I buy? I give them the kind of car that I want to buy. I want you to buy it so I can go drive it. Right now on Bring a Trailer, there is a silver 4th gen Honda Prelude SIR that we didn't get. Not Bring a Trailer, excuse me. Japanese Classics.
Yeah, okay.
For like $14,900, so $5,000. For the same price of completely building your rusted out Integra, you could have Prelude SIR with the H22A engine. And you have right-hand drive, and you have that cool-ass dash and everything like that, and it's going to be banging.
Yeah.
You could have that.
Yeah.
They're slightly heavier, I guess.
No, but it's still awesome.
Yeah,
like
super cool.
That's where I used to be. The longest I used to keep a car was 2 years, and I'd just be like, okay, time for something new. But now, yeah, I'm starting to keep them a little bit longer than that. Well, some. Oh, they've got old Land Cruisers.
There it is. 95, fresh out the boat, freshly legal. Oh, they only want $12,000 for.
Wow.
Hell yeah. Greg, can you imagine rolling in that?
Well, it's awesome too because it doesn't look like anything, right? If you don't know what it is, you're like, oh,
but then people see 4th gen Preludes. It's like, give me, please.
Yeah.
He also says he wants a convertible as well. Like he doesn't know what he wants. He wants to have that top down rolling around, but he needs 4 seats for the family. And the only thing like right now reasonably that I think would work for him would be an S197 Mustang, which would be probably the cheapest convertible you could get that will be fun. But he says he just wants to cruise, so he doesn't need anything with hard suspension or anything. And I said, well, he doesn't want to do the 4x4 thing, like get a Jeep and take the doors off and everything. He doesn't want to do that. So
I mean, there's always like BMW 4 Series, that kind of area. But
he was talking about like that everything comes back to BMW.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know if he has, I think most of his cars that he has that he drives regularly are all Euro cars. So he's got his Volvo wagon, which is the everyday thing. I forget which one it is. It's like the non-turbo kind of base painted, unpainted plastic bumpers.
Yeah. What were those called?
I forget. I was in it last night. It's what we took skiing. He's like, yeah, I don't care about this thing. I just drive it.
Yeah.
And then he's got his Audi, which that's the V12.
Yeah.
He's got the big one.
That's cool just for what it is.
Yeah. He's like, this is the highway bomber. His wife, I forget what his wife drives. And then he's got a C10 truck for everything. And he was getting the carburetor rebuilt, and he told that when it was at the mechanics, the mechanic told him that 3 other customers like made offers on that truck. And I'm like, it's an old C10 that's rusted. It's kind of nasty. It's got cherry bomb exhausts on it. It's gross. He painted the car himself.
Really?
Oh, it's bad. Well, no, it's not bad. It's what a C10 used to be in the 90s. Like no one gave a shit.
Right.
He painted
a car.
He rattle canned the steel wheels a different shade of silver, painting right over the lugs. It's like, I don't care. But now people are like, oh, gimme, I'm going to do all this stuff. And I'm like,
I mean, I guess, never underestimate the value of nostalgia.
True. Someone in chat says he should get an S2000. He likes the S2000s, but he needs that back seat for his daughter and whoever else wants to come.
Yeah, it's all BMW, Mercedes, other than like you're saying, like I guess Mustang and Camaro.
He was talking about like he's starting to feel nostalgic about the Camaros from the 90s that had that shark nose thing. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, they do look neat now, but I can't, in my mind, I still remember that shitty GM interior, knowing that the steering wheel shifter is out of a Cavalier.
Right.
It's just, they didn't care.
No.
The
And
engine is
steering wheel's
okay.
ugly and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't steer very well. The Trans Ams were cool that had the LS1 engine in it. Those were all right, and interior is still garbage.
Right.
But having an old Camaro with that LT block,
I always felt bad for the guy that bought. You remember when was it 2001, 2003, somewhere in there? They like, this is the last Camaro ever, and he spent like $100,000 on buying the last Camaro ever built.
Who is it? What?
Remember, because they stopped making them in the early 2000s. GM stopped making the Camaro, and then they
brought
it back in like late 2000s. So I always felt bad for that guy. He was like, I bought the last Camaro ever, and then GM was like, actually, sorry.
Yeah, Dodge did that thing when they brought the Challenger back. Like, oh, there's money in this. Well, we're going right back to the bank.
Yeah,
we're going right back to the well.
And that's amazing too, because when you think about that, that is a 90s Mercedes E-Class chassis that whole thing is built on, right? They've never updated it from.
Nope. What are we filming? Okay, we acoustic theory. Tristan Green, here we go. Happy holidays. Do you have a favorite Christmas winter beer? In Cleveland tradition, I must fanboy Great Lakes Christmas Ale, but Mad Elf is probably the best. Every year I'll have at least Mad Elf once. During the winter times, I almost exclusively switch to porters. Although lately with this year, you know, as I told Ben, like I will have samples of beer. So I am interested in having another beer, but not an entire bottle. So if you want to split one of these, maybe, is there anyone that I didn't have yet? I had that one, but only one of them, but I liked it a lot. Oh, that was that one. Okay.
This we got to have.
Okay. Then we'll do that.
So this one is, so we just had Utopias. Now after the merger with Dogfish Head, this is Dogfish Head Worldwide Stout aged in Utopias barrels.
Okay. So when they're done with the big stuff, they put other stuff in the barrels.
Well, this, I mean, yeah, the barrels kind of, I'm sure have a life to them, but I don't know how long.
Mad Elf is great. I was down at Trogs and I did have what is it? We saved it on the stream. What on earth is beer is that? Oh, Impending Descent. They had an Impending Descent on tap, and that was fantabulous.
It's good beer.
Yeah. Lately, this is how I've been enjoying my beer and associated cordials, is no longer at night, only in the day, because I don't like that foggy feeling in the morning. So normally, it's around this time, like a lunchtime beer, and then I'm over it by the time it takes to go to bed, because during the lockdown, like my favorite activity is sleeping. Like I've been going to bed at like 11:30 and waking up at 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would be groggy as hell.
I get up and I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Coffee on, edit like crazy. And then like, great. It's now 2 p.m. What the hell am I going to do? And
I guess your body's telling you that's how much sleep it wants.
It's just boring. I mean, in the summertime, I sleep less because the sun's up and then I'm hot. I like sleeping. I turn the heat all the way down to 60 degrees. And then I get under a lot of covers. And then I'm imagining I'm cuddling someone in a tent on the Appalachian Trail and no one can see us. And that's my fantasy. So we've got Utopia Barreled Aged Worldwide Stout.
It's going to smell.
This is funky.
Well, you're also probably getting a little bit of the Utopias.
Yeah.
Kind of carry over. That's good though.
You know what this reminds me of? And I'm bad at describing things. I wish Tom was here. He'd be able to tell me, but it reminds me of Tasty Cakes. It reminds me of Tasty Cakes at lunch.
That kind of toffee almost.
Yeah, the good kind that have caramel. The cream in the middle. Oh, people in countries that don't get Tasty Cakes, they don't have the joy of sticking your finger in the brown, they're all brown, and then the cum is in the middle.
I don't think they're in the Midwest. I don't remember them growing up.
Shit, you don't?
No.
I wonder if Foster ever had Tasty Cakes. I gotta send him a message on Telegram.
Just mail him some tasty cakes if you're gonna do anything.
Yo, if he doesn't get tasty cakes, I mean, he used to live in Indiana and now he moved to Cincinnati. So maybe get tasty cakes in Ohio. I don't know.
I don't know Ohio enough. I don't know where the.
Well, maybe I'll go
is.
Donovan.
It's just like the IHOP Waffle House line. Nobody knows exactly where it is, but it's there.
Yeah. Did you get tasty cakes growing up, Donovan? Because I'm on a podcast right now and we're talking about tasty cakes. Did you ever get tasty cakes, little tasty cake things? You take a bite out of it and then you stick your finger in it and the cum is inside. It's like more ice to get icing on the top. You get icing in the middle and you stick your finger in it and it comes out white. Did you ever get that in high school? He's gonna get that unsolicited.
I was gonna say he's sitting there with his family. They're like
he's there at work.
Like,
what is this
it's
voice
Christmas
message?
Eve, children, we're decorating the. Oh God! Don't play it out loud. Please don't play it out
loud. So thank you, Tristan Green. Good question. Thank you for your donation and happy holidays. And refreshing the page. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's Phil McWonder. There it is. Okay. Chris Stockslager. Hello, Chris. Familiar face. Thank you. Did you ever think you'd have car Uncle Jay Leno on RCR? No. Like what? He likes stuff from like the 40s and 30s and 20s.
He likes crazy shit too.
Yeah. It's like it's like a porn addiction. Like straight fucking doesn't do it anymore. You have to go deep to get your rocks off now.
Well,
so
he's
that's
got like 400 vehicles too.
Yeah. I think at this point, the way, and hey, on the chance like Jay Leno was watching, I view Jay as like this kindly grandpa now that just wants to spend time, just happy that the kids are here and having a good time, and he just kind of wants to just hang out with people. And why not? If you've did your whole life doing the Tonight Show and all the ups and downs, and I think now he just kind of wants to hang out and have a good time. And hanging out with me making dick jokes. I mean, supposedly he was like back in the day a pretty dirty comic.
Really?
Like but there doesn't exist a lot of videos of like his like early stuff like in Boston and stuff. And I mean, this is coming, I think, from like I think Rogan did like he opened for him or something like that, or at least got to see like one of Jay's stand-up that he still kind of does, and like, holy shit, this guy is blue. He's like nasty stuff. And well, he was on Leno was on Rogan once.
Well, he's still working. Jay, I think, still does stand-up at times.
Does he?
Yeah, I don't think it's often, but I'm pretty sure, according on Comedians in Cars, he said he still once in a while will go out and do something.
Nice. I wonder if it's like a Chappelle thing where it's like he just shows up at an open mic.
I know.
And like does like 5 minutes.
Right. But he just, like whenever he feels like it, Dave Chappelle's like, I'd like another 40 million. Hold on. Let me call HBO.
Yeah.
All right. This time I'll do Netflix.
Yeah. Awesome. So, I mean, if Leno wants to come on, like,
be amazing.
I don't know. He had Doug on, and I wonder how Doug swung that. Doug got on Leno, and Tavares got on Adam Carolla's podcast once. But I think with like RCR, like very little of this show plays by any rules. I still haven't got paid from that Bluetooth speaker thing.
Really?
I sent an email to the rep and he said he'd get on it. It's been like pushing 2-3 months now.
But see, now you have the
I don't know if I'm going
to
do them again. Like if that company hits me up again, I have to say, you guys have been great. You let me say anything. Waiting 3 months to get paid is a little much.
But no, that's what I'm saying. Now you have the threat of like, let me tell you what I really think about this Bluetooth speaker.
Oh, I mean, it's a white label product. I mean, literally the promo code that you get knocks it down to the price that other manufacturers have it. Mm-hmm. You can buy this product like 3 different ways.
Right.
On Amazon.
Right.
And it's the same product with like different badges on it. It's not a bad, I mean, I use it. It's a Bluetooth speaker that's got more bass than your average Bluetooth speaker, and that's it. Mm-hmm. It's not too bad. But I mean, we did a bit with Prime Driven, and the reason I go keep one, because Prime gets a whole lot of fun cars, and that I get to do. 2, Justin Burnash is great to hang out with. 3, he's one of the last MR2 specialty mechanics in the country, and 3, he pays me that day.
Right.
Yo, it's way less than other people do, but I don't care.
Right.
So
now, what is their what is their niche? Prime Driven.
They started out as an MR2 specialty shop. They were originally Prime MR2, and they pioneered the idea of the Mark 1.5 swap.
Okay.
The first gen, where their specialty was the Caldina engine, which we're going to be in our 40s before that thing becomes legal, because it started in the 2000s. That's still a 4G engine. It's the block, I believe, and Justin will correct me from this, but it's the block from the Mark II. But in the 2000s, it continued in the form of the Toyota Caldina, which is Toyota making a WRX wagon. It's a turbo all-wheel drive Toyota wagon.
Now that's stick shift, and I'm in.
Stick shift, hell yeah.
Oh yeah,
hell yeah. You do a chip tune, you do a bunch of swaps, you have 300 wheel horsepower.
Oh shit.
Oh, they're fucking great. You get coil on plug, everything else is great. Coil on plug ignition, no more distributors. The fluid dynamics of intake, there's no more right angles. It's all contoured in and out. I drove a first gen that had it. It was you'd like pass Lotuses and stuff. It's freaking it's so light. But one of the challenges is heat distribution and putting a Caldina engine, or really the Gen 4 from this point. It's really what it's called. It's called the Gen 4. The Toyota Gen 4 engine in a MR2 is that engine bay is so small, you can't do an air-to-air intercooler. You have to do a water-to-air intercooler just to get the heat out. But you can do air-to-air in a second gen. The second gen has for an MR2, a very large engine bay. It's a much better swap. And it's a longer wheelbase. It's much safer, and the turbos that they use in the Caldinas don't mind fluttering, so you can go all day long, and it doesn't hurt them. It's fine, and so that's great. Third gens, they don't work. The only thing you can do to a third gen is do the ZZ swap, but the ZZ swap gets you like 30 more horsepower. It's not worth the money that you're doing it. So if people are thinking they have a third gen and they want to do the 2 ZZ swap, just don't do it. Enjoy that car for what it is. It's a Corolla turned backwards. Out of all the MR2s, it is the most reliable because it's the 2000s era, early 2000s Corolla engine. What could possibly go wrong with this thing? The only downside is it doesn't have a trunk anymore unless you take the spare tire out.
I mean, they're still cool though. For what they
great.
are.
And the prices are going up too.
Yeah,
they were like $5,000. Now they're $10,000.
I just wish you could go back in time. Like I was thinking about that, your stonks conversation. I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
Last year, I forget what it is. Fidelity, TD Drip, Meritrade, one of those I had a few years ago. I just stuck some into a Roth. And I don't know how I did this, but I had put some of it in and was just like playing around with different companies. And I had $2,000 that I was going to put into Tesla last year.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I just screwed up the trade or what. But I was like looking at lately, I was like, oh, Tesla's going up, because I check this like once every maybe 6 months. And I'm like, oh, Tesla's going up. And I go on to the website. Apparently, I just failed entirely with actually trading in Tesla stock. So I just had $2,000 sitting in like your little like general fund.
Yeah.
And I have nothing in Tesla. And I was like,
shit,
that's the wrong time to be.
Oh, man.
But like, you never know when the time is right for anything.
That's the thing. Yeah. Majority of my money goes into your Standard, your Johnson & Johnson, your big companies that will never go under. My big pick right now is Visa. They seem to be way heavy and maybe worth more than they are, but at the same time, Visa's not going anywhere. And then, at least 50% should go into some boring company that doesn't do anything exciting, makes toilet paper, but pays a fucking dividend.
Right.
Hell yeah. I want to get paid to wait.
Yeah.
And then you get the dividend money that goes into your money market account. And that's the stuff you buy when you buy stonks on the toilet.
Right.
Like, I will have this one stonk, please. I bought one stonk.
Stock.
Yeah. I bought like Satchmo or something, some weird like $8 pharmaceutical company. Just like a few, yeah, here you go. Maybe this thing will be, who knows if they
Right.
hit it or not.
Right.
And then like some, one stock of Lyft.
Mm.
Hope just kind of, let's see what they do when we start opening back up and people need rides from the airport again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Dominic out there, still rocking Lyft in his executive series town car, the Executive L. He has a 5-star rating out there. And he says, well, first he picks up at weird hours. And second, you show up in an Executive L with tons of legroom, this black on black limo-esque car.
That's why it was a black car forever. It's a good car.
If only they'd be like more, if Lyft would be more like liberal with what you could drive. They didn't have a year cut off. If you had a perfectly clean like Nissan President from like 95,
Toyota Century,
hell
just, like,
yeah, show up, blow people's minds.
But that's the problem. That's what's so sad is I would be disappointed every time because I would pull up and people would be like, what is this? I've never heard of it. Is this a Lexus? And be like, no, it's that. And they'd be like, oh, I don't care. We're going like, I would just be so brokenhearted because they wouldn't give a shit.
No, yeah, they wouldn't care. Me getting picked up from the airport in the before 4 times, like you press the button and it's either going to be a Prius, Kia Soul, or Nissan Altima.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Occasionally, once I think we were in like Austin. We got picked up in a quad cab Tacoma. It was interesting. The dude had like guns and like developed shoulders and stuff. I think he was just doing this for giggles.
Yeah.
Like it was a super cool truck. He had the quad cab with the sunroof.
Oh, really?
He had that pulled back. We had windows rolled down. We were listening to music. He was super cool. And it's like, you're not making your money back with how this thing drinks in town.
No, but at the same time, the miles don't matter on that, right? Like,
true.
Yeah, he could put 80,000 miles on it in a year, and probably it'll lose $5,000 in value, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Phil McWonder says, "Thank you for your donation. At some point, I'm trying to get my hands on a manual SUV as a daily. Early 2000s Honda CRV. You can get them in stick as a daily. It's a great car. But I keep finding for sale are overpriced Jeeps. Don't buy a Jeep. Or a Nissan Xterra. That has a live rear axle. I mean, Nissan Xterras are pretty damn good off-road, but they suck on-road. You're driving a truck, really. Any suggestions for what else you need for? Yeah, early 2000s, they're bottoming out. Manual CRV.
Yeah.
Or if you want to shift and not go any faster, you can buy an Element. Pretty fast. And of course, for a while, the RAV4s were manual. Now they're not anymore. The first gen RAV4s from the 90s are awesome, but they're also going to be loud on the highway. There's not much sound deadening, and they're very light cars. They're great in the snow, though.
And they're cool looking, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a 13 Xterra stick shift.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good car. Like, it was when I bought it in 2013, I bought it new, and it was that or the Wrangler. That was the only things left that were body on frame, 4-wheel drive, stick shift. That was it. Toyota had already given up. Toyota gave up in like early 2000s. I think the 3rd gen 4Runner was the last you could buy with a stick.
Really?
Yeah. Sad.
Yeah. How long did you have the Xterra?
2 years.
Okay.
Took a bath on that thing too.
Really?
But yeah, it was funny. This is my other like Honda spiel, but like, or Toyota spiel. When I bought that, I think I paid like 32 grand, and I was debating between that or a Tacoma.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'd rather grab the SUV. I'll go with the Xterra. And a couple years later, I was moved into the house I'm in now, and I needed to like be able to like haul lumber more and stuff. And the Xterra was just kind of getting inconvenient for a lot of that. So I'm like, all right, I'll go ahead and look at a truck. And so I ended up, that was when I bought that GMC. But when I bought it and traded this in, I think they gave me like 18 or 19 on trade for this thing 2 years later. And I was
$1,900.
Oh, no, 18,000.
Oh, okay.
But you figure still it lost almost half its value. So out of curiosity, I checked what the Tacoma, if I'd gone that round and bought the Tacoma in 13, what it would have been worth on trade in the same time frame, and it was like 24 or 5, and I was like, well, Toyota tax.
Yep. Brandon Flannery says, "Happy holidays. Did Boylan ever D-mail back?" Ed Boylan didn't DM me back. Like, the only bit of social media that you can DM that I found Ed Boylan is on Instagram, and he didn't say anything. I mean, when I go down to Atlanta to pick up my car, I'm like, I kind of want to come in and say hi, but I'm sure he has an email. It's me just not searching enough. Is there an Ed Boylan email? Is there a VinWiki at info.com? I could just say, hey, it's probably going to be late February because the boat is scheduled to dock sometime next month. And then it takes, a week to get through customs and then like 2 weeks to get the title. But that's pre-pandemic, so who knows? So I'm guessing late February, after Valentine's Day, after President's Day, maybe I'll be going down then, which works out fine because there was a bunch of people who wanted me to come up to like Vermont and go skiing next month, and I'm all about doing that. Maybe I'll take a week off from RCR and just have like a ski break, and that'd be cool.
I wonder though, are there people in Japan that are buying these cars right now solely to be like 25 years Americans are going to buy them? Like, are they, or is it just that like these cars are just kind of like survivors?
I don't know. The story that I got told from like people who are into like the JDM culture, Tim Strickler and his Levin, is that they don't value used cars like we do.
Okay.
And they don't tend to hold on to them. And then there's also, they have weird tax incentives to keep upgrading to a new car, like environment. The new car is going to be better for emissions and all this stuff. And I think something like sometimes if they keep running like an older car, I guess maybe there's like an old polluting tax that they get. So it's worth their while to go with a new one than it is to hang on to an old car. I don't know the particulars of it. We don't really have anything quite like that where they encourage you to upgrade. Maybe iPhone kind of, but that's more of a status thing to have the new iPhone.
Right. Yeah, that is kind of an unusual. I mean, we sort of did with like cash for clunkers and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But most of ours are actually an incentive to keep the older ones, though, in a lot of states, right?
Yeah.
If the older it is, the less you're paying in like excise taxes yearly and all that kind of crap.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And like insurance just goes down. And it's so weird. Like in the United States, motorcycles are so cheap to insure. I think my motorcycle is $74 a year to basic liability insurance. It was like nothing. And then my friends in New Zealand, it's the exact opposite. Like motorcycles are so expensive to insure down there, which I guess partially because they have nationalized health insurance. So you are a huge bodily risk to yourself. Whereas us, we care about how much can this vehicle damage something else. Motorcycle can't really damage much except for you, and that's not on us.
Oh, so they're not paying your medical bills in any, like with motorcycle insurance, they're not paying for any kind of medical.
Unless you ask for that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, all my motorcycles, I just had basic liability.
Yeah, that's true. Because even if you run into a car, then what's the worst that they're out for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hit them with your front tire. You only really have to. Do I want to finish that off? I gotta take it slow. I mean, I can feel it on that. I gotta get more water too. I kind of need to take a pee break. It's Thursday, isn't it? Oh, it's Thursday. I get to go to my parents later. Alien Taco Bar says, I haven't been able to give in the past, but you're a huge inspiration for me. Start sharing my writing. Merry Christmas. Much love from Minnesota. Hello, Minnesota. And thank you, Alien Taco Bar. I appreciate it, man. We'll put it forward to, I guess your money will be spent on a hotel on my drive back from Atlanta, whenever that happens. Because I'll fly down to Atlanta I think I'm staying with Charles. I think he offered. I don't want to put him on a spot, but I think Charles Guam offered that I could stay at his house in Atlanta. He's a BattleBots guy. He like won back in like the 2000s and stuff like that, and he still does it now. That he had like him and I can't remember if not Jess McAndrew, different Jess, AutoZam Jess, um, uh, was on Charles's team, or unless she competed against him. They had some like big heavyweight machine, like battle bot that looked kind of like a trebuchet, and what it did was it would flip the other robot like upside down. And Jess had this thing where this it was a trebuchet, but it could always remain upright because its trebuchet could always flip itself back onto its wheels. So it was freaking cool. So it was doing this like crazy like judo moves on this other thing, just boom, 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 and then just threw it into a corner, and then the other robot couldn't do it. So it was kind of cool. So I was thinking about that. I'd go down there. I'd stay with Charles, and Charles also has like he loves those Ford Centurion van trucks.
Yeah,
that we reviewed. So those were his and his buddies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can see the two hobbies kind of coinciding.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like, let's make something completely crazy. Why not? Yeah.
They would use the van trucks to go to these BattleBots things where they'd put the robots in the back of the truck, and then they just, because those Centurions, the rear seats folded down to a bed, and they'd also be like crazy crash spaces. And like literally they could park anywhere. No one fucked with them because the things look scary and shady. And like this thing's bad. And we did the whole research. Like the whole point of a Centurion is to haul a horse trailer. And then have a place to crash in when you're going to, I don't know, whatever you do with horses.
But it definitely also looks a little bit, a little bit sketchy. Like this could be a meth head. This could be a lot of other things. I don't know.
So yeah, but then I'd have to get a hotel somewhere on the way back home. Maybe I'll stay at the exact same hotel I stayed in when the Falcon overheated on its debut thing back, because I'm not doing the corridor through Richmond, DC, Baltimore. No, I'm going to go around, go up 81. And so that would be cool.
There's a couple nice like Maryland state highways you can take through there. They're really pretty.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
I did that years ago. I did that going down. Yeah.
I think that's it. We're in the middle of the day, and we didn't like tell people we were streaming. So
I was gonna say nobody knew.
There's no one really asking questions. So we'll go back to the regular one. We've been doing this for an hour now. So hello, regular chat. Sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you guys. I need more water. I need to pee.
You take a pee break, I'll go through my car list. How about that? I prepared this in advance. I wrote them down on my phone because I will do them wrong.
Okay, let's see if I can get done peeing by the time you get done listing the cars you're going.
It may be close. All right, and we're off. So my first car, I had a 1986 Mazda 626 manual. The frame, the back end was rusting out around the rear suspension, and it was held up with a combination of like Bondo, some weird structural wire, and just a bunch of other miscellaneous parts. So it didn't last long. I'd had like 180,000 miles on it, I think, but it was an awesome little car. Then I had a 94 Honda Civic, stick shift again, an EX. That was a cool little car. And then I got into a different phase, and I had a 98 GMC Jimmy that I totaled flipped that into a ditch on black ice. Then I had a 97 Toyota Camry. That thing was awesome. I drove that, I think like 60, 70,000 miles, and I was in college, and it had like close to 200,000. I was like, something's going to go wrong. I should just upgrade to something newer. And I think the next two cars that I bought, that Camry was still on the road. I don't know. The last time I saw the owner back in my hometown, it had like, I don't know, 250, 275, something like that. This little 2.2 liter 4-cylinder engine. Then I had a Nissan Pathfinder, a 96 Nissan Pathfinder. That was a cool vehicle too. That was on the road for a long time too. But then when I got ready to go to college. I was like, you know what? I should be reasonable and not have a car payment. So I had that and the Camry and decided to keep the Camry. Then I bought a 2000 Volkswagen Jetta and sold that Camry again because of the miles. And that Jetta it had some issues. Anybody who knows those cars, it was cool. It was a stick shift, but it had electrical gremlins. And the reason I decided to trade it was one day I was driving down the interstate going about 80 miles an hour and everything turned off. All the lights, the engine, everything. That was a stick shift. So I just popped it back into gear and it started back up. But I mean, it was a scary moment when you're going 80 miles an hour and you have nothing at night. Then I had a 2003 Infiniti G35 with the VQ engine. That was a cool car, but it wasn't automatic in a sedan. So it wasn't like the coolest, but for being in college, I was excited about it. Then a 2003 E46 BMW, a 325, also a stick shift. Then a 2008 Infiniti G37 coupe, stick shift. And then at the same time I bought and had a 98 4Runner as a winter vehicle because that was when I moved back to PA. Then that 4Runner got totaled and I traded in the G37 on that Xterra. Then I had a 94 Cadillac DeVille that was my grandparents' car, non-North Star engine, that 4.7. That was a good car, but at the time I had 3 vehicles and I was like, okay, this is silly. This is before I accepted that I was going to always have multiple. So I got rid of that. Had that GMC Sierra, that 15. Then I bought my little sister's 2003 Acura TL. I had that for a couple years, but just wasn't driving it enough. Then I had the 2001 Land Cruiser, the 100 series. And then I bought another 4Runner 99 Limited. And then I have my 2014 Corvette. I have a 2000 Tundra with 225,000 miles on it with the 2UZ FE. And I have the vehicle everybody has seen here, the 2008 Toyota Land Cruiser that was, what was that, 3 months ago?
Yeah.
On the channel.
Yeah. How's that?
There's my boring
Not
list.
only did I get to go to the bathroom, I also got to eat a few spoonfuls of leftover casserole and put my fleece on and my slippers on and sit down and listen to the last of this. That's a lot.
19
vehicles.
Yeah.
I wonder if, I think you had more than Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh has had a lot too, but I think you beat him.
I don't know.
Vehicles I've had: Toyota Echo, Honda Fit, Subaru Forester, MR2 Mark 1B, Falcon. I've owned 5 vehicles in my life. Now, 5 cars. Motorcycles, there's been quite a bit of those. And I don't know if I can remember all of them. I don't think I kept track. I would buy them and flip them and buy them and flip them and ride them and buy them and flip them. And I don't know. I think, my motorcycle days of owning one are not gone, but and riding them are not gone. But right now, I want to take a break from owning a bike. I think I've ridden every single road around here on a motorcycle, and there's something weird about I don't like being cold anymore. As you can guess, I'm wearing a hat. I'm wearing a long sleeve t-shirt, a zip up hoodie, and then a fleece on top of that indoors, and the heater is set at 68 degrees, and I'm still kind of feeling chilly. When I sit at my computer, I'm even wearing half gloves. Just doing this, I don't know what this was like over the past year. Like the idea of being cold in the slightest, it feels odd to me. I don't like it. Oh, says the guy who skis all the time, but
right.
And I don't mind the cold, but I love being cold when I sleep. I hate being cold when I awake, but I don't care about my ski gear is amazing. It's all Marmot stuff. So, and your feet are always warm because they're in shells, the shell of a ski boot, which are actually upstairs. Change the temperature of your house. I'm cheap and I don't want to put the thermostat any higher because now at my old place, the heat was free and now it's not. So now I get to go buy the oil. I think I still have the same amount of oil, but I'm down to half tank, or rather now I'm down to half tank on the dual tanks. So I have 250 gallons of fuel oil left.
I don't know. I've never had heating oil, so I don't really understand how the whole business works, but it's always fascinating too when people describe it.
What's your house then?
I have a heat pump, electric heat pump.
Okay.
So, I mean, just an air source heat pump, not a, I'd love to have the geothermal, and I actually looked at it, and then They're like, yeah, they're probably around like 30 to 35,000. I was like, air sourced to be good. Yeah, we'll stick. Yeah.
So that's the heater that just has the vents in the floor and the warm air comes out of them.
I mean, basically, it's an air conditioner, an outside compressor unit, but it runs in reverse.
Okay.
So, in the summer, it is effectively sourcing, cool air from warm air. And in the winter, it is sourcing warm air from cool air. It's just blowing a fan over R134A and then warming it and then sending it back through coils. And on really cold days, like probably under like 20 degrees or so, it has a separate like actual like heating fins basically that will kick on inside the air handler because I mean the heat pump just can't keep up really at those temperatures. But I mean it's my only bill is electric and I pay like 170 180 bucks a month for 2,000 square foot house. It's not bad.
I see the difference. My electricity is about $30 a month here.
Yeah.
But I haven't refilled those tanks yet. So
that may be what, $1,000?
Probably $1,000, yeah. And then my dad says my dad's house is 250s, and he says he'll refill it maybe once from May to October. Like he'll refill it twice a year, depending on the severity of winter. You will refill it once in winter. So we're going into January, and I still have half tank left. This is such dad talk, isn't it? Well, I refill my oil tanks. So sometimes I do it here, and I do it yesterday. I fill it. I go down, I check it all the time. We get, we got steel, and we got the Jack Rich. It's like two in this town. It's like Jack Rich and like steel oil supply. But then I got a third one because probably another reason my electricity is so low because I have a gas stove. And I don't know how long those tanks are going to last out there.
Yeah.
I only use one burner, but I use it every night to like heat up my meat. And then
no, I'm all
here in the Midwest, we only have natural gas heat. That sounds pretty freaking cool. I heard natural gas is amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's dry heat coming out.
And it's cheap.
And it's you just get a bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no like scheduling for the tanker truck to come up to your house.
No, I grew up in a tiny town of like 6,000 people, and everywhere in town there was natural gas. And so when I moved here, I'm like, oh, I'll just set up natural gas. And they're like, no, it's on 3 streets. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll go with whatever else then.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know why but like, who's the company?
It's not like there's earthquakes here. We'd have to dig everything up and put gas lines everywhere.
I guess it's the mountains. Yeah. It's just getting through. But like Reading has it.
Reading has it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I always see what's it? UGI. That's the name down there.
Right. Yeah. Oh, I think the one guy at my gym, when I had a gym, we'll have it in a week.
Is it
week in a few days. Yeah, the PA lockdown ends on the 4th.
Okay.
And I can go back to the gym. Yeah, the one guy at the gym where I didn't see him since the pandemic started. I guess he has kids and stuff, and he was worried he didn't go back. He works, I think UGI also owns a power plant down there, and he's like the engineer.
Really?
Yeah, there, and he's like a total nerd. Like, this is the greatest way of making, shy of like a modern nuclear plant, which I guess we're not building ever again. I don't know.
No, apparently not.
No. That's so crazy that all our nuclear plants are from like maybe the late 70s, and that's it. That's the tech.
Well, it is like a weird. It's a strange way to boil water. I mean, it is. Like, I'm not saying like I'm not like diehard on one stance or the other with it, but it is kind of like man. There's a lot of work here to boil water.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Everybody, it's Christmas time. Some people are gonna jerk off in their parents' bathroom, as is tradition. Gonna get through the day and excise your emotions. Oh yeah, my gym had class F. F is for fucking my own hand. My brain doesn't know the difference. Hourly B says, hey, fellas, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I know there are kinds of questions. I know these questions are kind of annoying, But I always wondered, Boston, the official city of, I'm not Bill Burr. I don't know how to make Boston jokes. I was there like twice as a tourist, and I did the candle bowling thing, and we went to the Sam Brewery, and it was fun. And there was this one dickhead in the tour who asked the hot blonde tour guide why they don't use American hops.
It's a cool city, but there is like, have you seen Bill Burr's doing those? Like, yeah, like he did an SNL like mock commercial or something about that.
No, I didn't. What did he do?
I mean, basically, it's so your cousin from Boston is the new Boston beer ad campaign for like Sam Adams products, and he did like a kind of like a mockumentary kind of a thing like that, where basically though instead it's like he and his cousin just get into a fight in the middle of a grocery store. It's pretty funny. It's a nice like homage kind of thing. But yeah, we're all afterwards. We were like, dude, why? Oh man, how amazing would it be if Bill Burr actually like came and did the commercials?
Yeah.
Like how cool would that be?
I like the Dunkin' Donuts one, and the guy's like, I don't know if it was a guy in front of a green screen or not. Just like, I'm the king of Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh
something like that. It was pretty interesting. I remember somewhere around the square in Boston, I did see a Dunkin' Donuts across the street from the Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. I'm like, oh, it does exist. Okay. But like, whatever. It's just Dunkin' Donuts. It's the same everywhere.
Yeah.
Though I think, what was the one bagel place where the bagels shoot down this ramp into a spinning blade?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it either.
I remember I went there, and that was our breakfast, just like a lox bagel, I think an everything bagel with like an inordinate amount of cream cheese. I was in Boston twice, and both of them were for first night, and I had tons of fun.
Yeah. Oh, it's an amazing city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Park your car and forget about it.
Yeah.
Don't drive anywhere.
Do not make the attempt.
No. Boston, the official city of getting lost. Yeah. The roads make sense for like 1810.
Well, you have like these weird, like it used to be two-way traffic.
Yeah.
There's a divider in the middle, like a grassy spot, and they're like, we're going to make this one-way traffic. Yeah. So you just have to know that you have to be on the other side of this grassy knoll if you want to make a left turn. Otherwise, it's like, well, sorry, pal, you should have known that already. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. People ask, are you going to do RCR Boston? The answer is never. You can't film in Boston. You can't do car stuff. You'd have to do it well outside the loop.
Suburbs, yeah.
Oddball number 3 says, yeah, it's all horse pass. It totally is. I mean, even in this town, there's some streets that clearly aren't meant for cars. See also this street. Technically, it's two-way traffic. It isn't. When you park on it, it's not. That's why I can't drive a Galaxy. Can't park it. I can't make the turn into my garage from the alleyway.
Really?
Nope, can't make that turn. I'd hit the utility pole every time. I'd hit the utility pole, or probably you could. It would take a million turns to get in. So no.
It's like the old Rolls Royces where it was just like, this is like your turning radius. Like,
yep. Matthew Riley says the bagel place is Finagle a Bagel.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Yes. I remember I was at Finagle a Bagel. We made that was like our thing. Like one morning waking up, it was so cool. We were at the Boston Park Plaza Hotel, and which I think was the same one they filmed in Boondock Saints. And it's also the same one of where they have the furry convention there.
Really?
So, yeah. So I was out there way before they used that hotel. It was funny because the rooms have 2 bathrooms on either side of the beds. There was 2 bathrooms. And that was the greatest shit of my life that I took there after a night of drinking and eating tater tots at this like buffet at this bar.
I might have stayed there too. Did it have a tiny, tiny bathroom?
Tiny bathroom, but there were 2 of them.
Oh, so this only had 1, but it was like,
well, maybe like different rooms only had 1. I don't know.
This was like a bathroom though, like before they figured
red
out what they're supposed
building,
to do. Yeah.
Super sweet lobby.
Yeah.
Like old school. There was like a long hallway. There was a long hallway that goes in before you get to the doors. It was like heated red carpet.
Yeah.
It was an old hotel. There were like bums in that hallway to get to the front door. And yeah, but then like one day it's like our breakfast is at Finagle a Bagel. The place was jam packed. One of the things I remember about Boston is you could never dress correctly because you either have to dress for outside or inside. So you're either going to freeze outside and then boil your ass off inside with your winter coat on, and there's no way to keep your coat on. You have to do that thing with your winter coat that you just hold it over your shoulder. And now it's like you're carrying a blanket everywhere. Or you wear a lightweight coat and then freeze on the outside. I should have freezed on the outside and just relied on beer to keep me warm outside.
Right.
And then just be comfortable when we go inside of the bar. Because we as tourists, we had to go to Cheers and do that whole thing. And I'm there with my freaking ski jacket on, roasting my ass off, drinking my one beer of Boston Lager. Because that's like all we were drinking the whole time. Because it's like cheap, like Yingling. That's their
everywhere.
Yingling. Yeah.
Yeah, it's everywhere up there. Yeah.
And I remember saying, all I want, can I have a Sam? And then I just got Boston Lager. I think maybe I had something else at one point.
But do you remember it was a couple years ago now where they got hammered by like 15 snowstorms in a row? It was like the most ridiculous. Do you remember what I'm talking about? I think it was the year that we got it was like 17 or 18 maybe. We got this one giant storm.
Yes.
But they just kept getting it. Like they got that storm. And then it was like, okay, we cleaned up from that. And it was a week later, it was like, oh yeah, there's another one. And there's another one. And I remember being like, man, I can't imagine that here where I have like a garage and a snowblower and I can't imagine being like living in a city and like putting up with that over and over and over again.
I remember that because that was the year that this town had to get out like farm, like backhoes and stuff to just clear out the snow.
Yeah.
I think that I still had the Honda Fit then. And I remember like a few days, like we just didn't go anywhere. No, I went out. I dug out my Fit because I had to drive in the snow and pull e-brake turns everywhere.
Right.
The thing about the Honda Fit, if you have a manual and you want to pull e-brake turns, when you pull the e-brake, I can't, man.
No,
I can't.
I'm doing one more.
All right, have fun. When you pull the e-brake in a Honda Fit, it yells at you. It does like an emergency beep, 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 beep. Like you're not supposed to be pulling this while you're moving.
Really?
Yeah. So when I do my e-brake turns in the snow in the Honda Fit, I'd have this old beeper. I think it was the same beep. No, it was a different beep than the door beep. I think it was the same beep that would beep at you if your oil got too hot or something like that. Like an oil temperature. It was like a submarine like warning system or like that type an aggressive beep, 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 beep that would go. People with Honda Fits, you should say if you actually do that, if your Honda Fits beep at you when you pull the emergency brake while you're moving.
I will admit those make me, I always wear my seatbelt, but there are times where I'm guilty if I'm like driving within my neighborhood, right? Or like driving like at work, like from one parking lot to another or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that Land Cruiser, it's the most obnoxious. Like it just doesn't give up. And so I'm like, okay, fine, you win. I'm driving 100 yards. I'm putting it on. Like you start yelling at the car. But
the Honda Fit would do that. It would beep at you if you didn't put your seatbelt on. My old Toyota Echo wouldn't. It would just flash a light on the dash forever. And it would also flash a independent light in the center console for the passenger if they didn't put theirs on.
Yeah.
I don't know what I don't know what the Subaru does. I don't think the Subaru does anything. I think maybe there'd be like a solid red light, but it doesn't do anything.
That's what I love about the Tundra, that 2000 Tundra. It has none of that.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have traction control. I don't believe at all. It doesn't have any like, it's just like, here's your truck.
Yeah.
It's Amtrak.
Know that you'll be moving it around a lot, getting in and out of it. I still feel weird though, because I always grew up with seatbelts, so I always feel a little bit naked when I'm not wearing it. And the only it took me a while in the Falcon to get used to not wearing a seatbelt, but it always freaked me out being a passenger in my own car and not having a seatbelt to use. That was really strange, and staring at that metal dash in front of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you get the new vaccine, you'll be able to change the street light to green, thinking about it when you drive through. Be like the plague. Like if you have the vaccine, you put a different light on your house.
Is this in reference to like the chip? Is that the...
I don't know.
My favorite part about the chip, the Bill Gates, the conspiracy theory is like you're already carrying that device.
Yeah.
It's called your cell phone.
Yeah.
If anybody in a powerful position is interested in tracing your every movement,
they already got it.
They already have it.
Yeah.
What? I don't understand.
One guy says Forerunner would show a light for the seatbelts, but if you leave the lights on and leave the card, Lights on and leave the car. It beeps loud. I don't know what that means.
Oh, leave the car.
Oh, leave the
It
car.
does, which is funny too because they turn the lights off. Most Toyotas turn the lights off automatically, but they still beep at you emphatically, like you left the lights on. It's like, you're gonna turn them off. What do you care?
The light switch on Subarus are not a hot switch.
Same with Toyotas.
Yeah, you turn the car off, they turn off.
Old Toyotas, it used to be that way. Newer, like that one, it just turns them off after like 30 seconds or whatever after you leave. But it still beeps at you, which I don't.
Weird. I'm losing the funny.
You need more beer.
No, this beer made me tired, but there still is some in here. I said I didn't put any more, but I'll just put more in there. You know what I need? I need more water. Do you need more water? You don't need.
I'm good.
Water. Vaccine Constance, Merry Christmas to you. Normally, this is what we do when I got to pee, which I do a lot, or Nick does a lot. You can just talk to the regular chat going by. If you want the driver's seat, you can have the driver's seat. I'm just going to go fill up from the fridge.
Fair enough. Beer also makes me tired now. I feel like it depends on what you were drinking for me. I don't know that it makes me necessarily sleepy, but I still have that like one beer. I'm kind of like, and then I could fall asleep. But I don't get it as often anymore. Maybe it's because I'm used to drinking like 1 or 2 beers a night when I get home from work. That's kind of my relaxing thing. There's no way Mr. Regular doesn't have a piss jug.
I don't have a what?
A piss jug, they said.
Do people know the story of AIDS 2? This is a
I've
thing.
heard you tell it.
You've heard the story of AIDS 2? When did I tell you the story of AIDS 2?
I think it was when we did the review.
Really?
Because we were talking something about college.
Yeah.
When it was just you and I in the car, we were talking something about college, and then you told me that.
About the story of AIDS. I'm sure I told it on the podcast before, but AIDS 2 is it's myself and my one roommate. And I think the guy who lived next door, I don't want to say their names. I don't want to blow up their spot, but we had a milk jug that we all pissed in for like a week combined. And we kept it in this like unused utility closet in a unused room of Lehigh Hall at Kutztown University. Like back in like, I guess like the 60s or 70s, there was like a room attached to the common bathroom that had like ironing boards in it. Like, I guess you need to iron your clothes for like, who knows? It was there. No one used it for anything. There was like a sink in there, but no toilet, and like a bunch of closets that, you'd pull the closet and the ironing board would fall out. And then there were some closets that had nothing in it, like old wooden things. So we put this jar of piss in there and we got a magic marker and wrote AIDS 2. And the 2 was in Roman numeral 2. So our plan was, we had this feud going with the second floor. We were on the third floor, and our plan was to take the screws off of their water fountain and take that. Old piss stinks. It stinks worse than rotten eggs. So the plan was to take the lid off of this milk jug filled with 3 different people's piss and put it inside It was the type of water fountain that isn't attached to the wall. It's like it's like a square podium that just goes all the way to the floor, but most of it is empty space in there. So you could put this jar of piss in there and just open it up. And of course there's vents in the side of the water fountain so the compressor can breathe. But we never really got to that point. Like, we'd have to have like 2 lookouts and a guy with a little screwdriver, take all the screws out, put it in, put it back off, take the lid off. And no one could see us doing that. So instead, we just poured it down the drain, poured it into the water fountain down the drain. So for a few people, when they got drinks from the water fountain, we'd getting 2 nostrils filled with old piss. And we thought, we have to be creating a disease in here. So this milk jug was just called AIDS 2. And that was in the year 2000.
Wonder if anybody else from that era still remembers that story well.
I'm sure my janitor does. His name's Art, and he goes to my gym, and I see him from time to time. And he said, "You guys were animals." There was a time that my roommate set the bathroom on fire by spraying Aquanet everywhere and putting a lighter to it.
Really?
It burns really fast and it burns with a
Yeah.
blue flame, but we set the fire alarm off doing that. We used to ride our bicycles in the halls. Because we had this RA that just didn't give a shit, and he was in on half of the jokes. He later transferred. It was weird. He transferred from Kutztown to Penn State Schuylkill. Lord knows why. Yeah,
It's kind of an odd move.
yeah. The weird thing about Penn State Schuylkill is that you roll out of your bed, walk 2 feet, and you're in your classroom. And it's such a small campus.
Well, there's only a very limited amount of like on campus housing too, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole idea is that you go for people not in Pennsylvania. Penn State is like this institution. You got Penn State, Maine. You have all these satellite campuses, and the whole idea is that you do your gen eds at the satellite campuses, and then you go to Maine for like you go like satellite campus for maybe a year, 2 years, and then Maine for the rest of your undergrad. That's what Nick did. He went to Penn State Berks because it's right there, and then he went up to State College. And for people not in Pennsylvania, know that the town where Penn State, the town itself is called State College. So,
yeah, that is very uncreative. I feel like when I first heard that, I was like, really?
Yeah.
But everybody calls it Happy Valley.
Really? I know it of Happy Valley, but really casually they call it Happy Valley?
Maybe not.
I don't know. It's
I'm
a beautiful drive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super sweet.
My sister went to Juniata College in Huntingdon.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I was thinking about this, but going out that way, because there's no direct path. There's all these there's all these like back roads, and like some are 4-lane, but it's still like relatively rural. So where I live, I have like my property is like an acre property. I have 70 trees, right? You've seen it. It's just woods basically. Yeah. So I have tons of chipmunks, and the chipmunks for a while were getting so active on my property that like chipmunks are actually like invasive. Like squirrels are they'll eat birdseed and they're fine, but chipmunks will actually like try to dig under your foundation. They'll try to get inside your house. They're bad.
My dad hates them because they try to dig underneath the liner of the pool.
Yeah. They're everywhere. So anyway, I used to catch them with those have-a-heart traps because I don't want to kill anything. Yeah. So I would put, a little bird seed in this have-a-heart trap. It triggers it. I just drive it somewhere out in the country and let it go. Right.
Yeah.
So on the day of my sister's graduation, I woke up, and so these chipmunks, because they're afraid of being in there and they're these little tiny creatures, they don't live long in the trap, so you can't like leave them all day and then let them out that night. So
they'll die in a day?
They'll die in like hours, I think, because of fright, or maybe they're playing possum, but like they will literally, like, you could catch one if I didn't check them every morning. I could catch one and not have any, like, by the time I got home from work, they were dead.
Whoa.
So anyway, on this day of my sister's college graduation, I caught one of them in a trap, but I was like running behind getting to her graduation. So I threw it in the back of this truck that I had at the time. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like going on the way. I'm like, okay, well, I'll stop. And I didn't stop anywhere. I didn't need gas or anything. So I just got to Huntingdon.
Yeah.
So in some random rural area near this house that she rented in college, I just released this chipmunk. So you can just imagine this poor chipmunk is like, what has happened to me? It's been 4 hours. We went through all of these winding roads. I have no idea where I am.
Yeah.
It's probably the only one I can guarantee will not make it back to my house, though.
Yeah, nice. Silverwind 990 says, "Hey, I love the stream. Currently taking a brown break from working on my first car with friends. It's a 2004 Acura RSX. It's a pretty fun time. That's a solid car.
Yeah.
The RSX for me, mid 2000s, kind of came and went, because at that time I graduated college and I was always concerned about is making money and moving out of my parents' house. So the car scene just kind of came and went for me. And it's interesting to me that some cars from the early 2000s, the new generations are really jonesing over. See also the Subaru Forester XT.
Right.
Yeah. And there was the RSX, and there was like a higher performance version of the RSX. And there was also the, we already reviewed it. It was the Toyota Matrix XRS with the 2ZZ engine.
That's a cool car.
It's a cool car, 190 horsepower. You need 93 octane. And see, 93 octane for less than 200 horsepower is weird to me. It was a fun car to drive. You redline it all the time. It makes a great noise. So it's more of the sensation, I suppose, of driving it than it is the actual speed. But at the same time, I think that's the same feeling you get that people are going nuts for with the old Toyotas, the B series
Yep.
engine. Yeah.
Well, that's like that 94 Civic that I had.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about it recently. I sold it to one of my high school teachers, and I need to like get in touch with him and be like, "You still have
Have
that
that?
car?"
Mhm.
Because like that car was, it was a 1.6 liter VTEC engine. I
Yeah.
think it made 125 horsepower,
Yeah.
but it was how it drove and how fun it was, and that little,
Yeah.
it was just like this. It was so happy, and it was like, whatever,
Yeah.
I'll do whatever you need. Like
Yeah.
I
Let's
just
go. Let's go.
love
Let's
that
go. Let's go.
feeling.
Let's go.
Yeah, like that was what was cool about those old
People in the
cars.
chat are saying the RSX Type S.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I don't know the difference between the regular RSX and the RSX Type S.
I don't remember either. But I remembered I wanted one back in the
And
day.
people are saying oil pump. Yes, the oil pump of the 2ZZ has trouble keeping up. The oil pump, so as I know it from the 2ZZ Toyota engine, that the oil pump is fine as long as you don't push it. If you're Dominic Toretto shifting, then you may overstress that oil pump and it won't be able to keep up the flow, and then you're gonna have heat problems and you're gonna wear something out. But a red line once or twice isn't gonna stress the pump.
But I just love those cars that you can, like, the next time you drive the Corvette, like we just got to go somewhere where you can really like wind it out, because that's where it's in its prime. Is like it just wants to get like thrashed around. Like it's just like, let's keep going.
That's so funny. You have a C7 Corvette and you treat it like a Cavalier.
Well, just drive it. It's a car. Like you saw it. I mean, it's dirty all the time.
Yep.
It just like, because I didn't buy it to keep it in a museum and wipe it with a diaper. I'm just
right.
Like, yeah, why not?
People are saying the RSX Type S had a 6-speed instead of a 5-speed. That makes sense.
And I thought it did have more power, but I don't remember. It wasn't much.
No, I mean, with a small engine and no turbo, all you have is compression, and even that, you're kind of limited to what you can get away with, without getting close to like needing race gas to just run right. It's so weird. Like a 2-liter engine with no turbo. Let's say a 2-liter engine, no turbo, all compression. Can you get 200 horsepower out of that? I don't, like crazy spark advance.
S2000.
S2000. Yeah, S2000 can do it. That was 250, right?
240, I think.
240.
Yeah. But that was like the first, like they broke the 100 horsepower per liter thing. And everybody's like, holy shit. Like, but who was going to do it but Honda in that era? Like,
before it was also them with the Integra Type R.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just kept going. Well, Honda was doing all sorts of crazy. Like that was the same years, early 2000s is when Honda developed everybody else. And they too did everything with hybrids. And then Honda was like, we made a fuel cell car. Like they didn't tell anybody they were doing it. They were like, we made a fuel cell Civic. And if you give us pumps that can pump hydrogen, we can make a mass producible fuel cell Honda Civic. And it was like I just thought it was cool in that era where like everybody else is like, we're going electrification and we're doing all of this. And Honda was like, we did this. Is that okay? Like, this is what we did. Yeah. We're kind of on their own.
My guess is why hydrogen didn't take off is because it asked a little bit extra from the user to know how to pump these things differently. And when it comes down to family tech support, don't underestimate the stupidity of the average user.
But even that, I worked for Wegmans food markets. Their forklifts are using hydrogen.
Are they?
And those are easy. It's as easy as getting gas. You pull up to it, you stick the nozzle on, you lock it in place, you tell it turn on, it goes okay, and then it communicates. Then so it goes, okay, here's how much fuel is in the cell, here's how much fuel is in the tank. Okay, here you go, here's your fuel. You're done.
Nice.
I mean, they've come a long way with perfecting. I think. I mean, the bigger issue too is it's odorless, colorless, and highly flammable. So, like, relative to gas, it's much easier to light yourself on fire without knowing you're doing it. But
Can you imagine driving off with a hydrogen pump and the hose attached?
They have shutoffs, just like a gas pump.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
click
sure
off.
someone will find a way to do that.
Driving around with it.
Polar Vortex says all of our buses have converted to hydrogen here.
I mean, it's producing
And which
water.
Norwegian country do you live?
I've heard of it here. Well,
Scandinavia.
CNG is here. I mean, but I mean, hydrogen is even more brilliant, right? Because it's literally the byproduct is water.
Yeah.
You don't, there's no
Yeah.
literally their forklifts drive around and go, and they just literally it just steams
Nice.
out a little bit of water all the time.
Sweet.
That's the only byproduct.
I guess the cost is in the compression. And
they had a huge grant.
Is Air Products, are they publicly traded?
I think so. They're big.
Let me look them up. Air Products, by the way, is a company. It's a Pennsylvania company that all they do is like compress stuff and put it into cylinders.
Mm-hmm.
So if like oxyacetylene, the weld stuff, probably is coming from Air Products. It's one of those companies that's really quiet, doesn't make a big splash, and is just making bank every single year.
Well, and they have a captured market too. Like I remember hearing stories from people who like needed Air Products deliveries, like refueling, and Air Products will like show up, and if they can't get to their tank, they're like, "All right, we'll see you," and they leave. They're just like, "No, who are you going to buy this from? Gonna get back to me?" Like, I mean, it's a pretty brilliant model.
Air Products, world's largest carbon-free hydrogen product.
Really?
Proud to help something. It's just what came up on Google.
Hmm.
Air Products stock. Oh, currently, yep, they're on New York Stock Exchange, $268 a share.
Are they headquartered in Allentown?
They are. I knew like two professors who taught me when I was going to Kutztown who were like part-time for Air Products. I think my one technical writing professor, she worked for Air Products. 200, they're going up. What is their stock code? Close December. I'll just go right to TD Ameritrade. This is a dad podcast talking about investments and how not to be poor when you're old.
I get shit for telling dad jokes all the time, so I feel like this is fitting, especially for the fact that I don't have children.
What was your latest dad joke at work?
I don't even know. I don't know that I can think of them off the top of my head, but no, I mean, I'm just like, my dad has a corny sense of humor. I have a corny sense of humor, and it's just like, that's what I do.
Derek says Hindenburg 2 electric boogaloo. Fuel cells on buses. Oh, they're saying Canton, Ohio. Oh, cool.
No shit.
All right, here we go. Air UCT Air Products. APD. Okay. I'll add to my watch. Wow. Holy shit. Look at that. Look at the past 5 years. Damn.
See,
all this shit. Like back in 2017, they were trading at $140 a share. They peaked at over $300 a share. Do they pay a dividend? Big question.
Yeah.
Indeed, they do.
Really?
Dividend per share, $1.34. Dividend frequency, and they do it every quarterly. I am adding you to my watch list.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I wonder why they would have jumped that much. Good management, I guess.
Air Products and Chemicals. So that's our stock tip for today.
You need to do the Jim Cramer. If you're going to start doing stock tips, that's what you got to do. Did you ever see Jim Cramer? I love Jon Stewart, and like especially when he's taking people to task, like the old Jon Stewart when he was on Crossfire, and he did one with Jim Cramer where he just basically just slowly, carefully, scientifically ripped Jim Cramer a new asshole
For
over
what?
like a 30-minute show of because Jim Cramer, you know how he is, he'll
buy, sell.
Everybody has to get in on this, and then 2 weeks later it just crashes, and he's like, I told you that was a loser. Like he just changes his story.
Oh, okay.
So and Jon Stewart's point wasn't so much any specific example, but was like, why are you pumping and dumping? Like, why are you hyping and trying to convince people who don't have the kind of resources you do to like buy and sell, rather than like give
Buy
them
and
safe
hold.
options?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Safe options aren't fun.
No.
Toilet paper isn't fun. Well, it was for a while. You know, when we went back into lockdown this time, I went out and bought a case. It's still in the closet. I haven't even busted into it yet.
I bought a few for that same reason of like, this is a kind I would use. It's here and for sale right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to buy it.
Yeah. People are talking about right-hand drive Jeep Wranglers. You can just order them, I guess.
Yeah, the mail carrier special, right?
Nice. We still haven't. That's one of my goals. In addition to a first gen Neon, I'd love to get my hands on a Grumman LLV. You see them, everybody sees them all the time. What do they like to drive? They're probably all shit.
What happens to them?
Well, the last one was made in like 87.
Okay.
So all of them are that old. They run an Iron Duke 4, which is like a 80 horsepower 4-banger, low compression, really low compression. Like, I don't know. It's something crazy like 8-to-1 compression. It's that low. The reason they can move is that they're just geared like crazy. They're geared low like crazy. They're only made to go like 45 miles an hour.
Well, you hear them, and that's how that grunt when they kind of when they take off. But I'm just like, I mean, where they have some of them have to get decommissioned. They can't just be running them into the ground. But I've never seen a like stripped of its logo. Former USPS truck.
No, I think it's kind of like UPS trucks. UPS trucks are made for them, and then you can't buy them. Mm-hmm. They're taken, then they're scrapped. They're just shredded.
Oh, really?
FedEx uses independent carriers, so you'll see a FedEx truck, but under their DOT numbers is the individual, like something like local logistics is the people they're subcontracted to. They're in the same way that if you get a small, commuter flight, it may say Delta, it may say American or United, but then it's below that it says United or something provided by blank Air, like Joe Bob Air is there. And like everybody has the correct badges and stuff, but it's, subcontracted out. Like all those tiny, like airplanes that have the engines in the back and stuff, those little like needles that go through the thing. I think fun fact is like Tony Airlines. He hasn't been on the podcast in a while. He set like a personal speed record for himself in his Bombardier CRJ900 with a 0.82 Mach coming back. Like his crew said, we want to get back early. Can you speed this up a bit? He's like, hell yeah. We got extra fuel. Freaking firewalled it, which means just full throttle.
Really?
You just jam this thing. Everybody just wanted to go home. So it's like, we got to go get back to JFK. You managed to get there like 15 minutes ahead of schedule. It's like, I burnt Bombardier CRJ 900. It's the biggest of the tiny planes. I mean, it seats like 100 people. Okay. So it's 2 rows going back, or it's like, aisle in the middle and then 2 seats on either. Or is it 2? Or is it 3 seats on either side? It's when you see them, they look really long. And they're really long and really low. But they're really, really streamlined, and honestly, they move pretty good. So he says they're odd to land because it's like you way up here and your engines are like two first downs behind you. I don't know. I'm exaggerating. I can look one up for you. Anyway, his crew said they wanted to get back, and he had extra fuel. And he's like, screw it, company's paying for this time. But he says the funny thing is like, for as much as I firewalled it, getting there like 15 minutes ahead of schedule, we burned twice the amount of fuel. Really? Doing that is just good. You're fighting at this point. You're getting close to the Mach threshold of the speed of sound, which is like, I was talking to Greg about this last night because he now flies the Airbus, I think A321 or something like that. Okay. And he says, yeah, I've gotten close to that. And, like not with passengers or maybe in the simulator, is like the plane is really it's not meant to go faster than the speed of sound. So everything just starts buffeting. He says up in the airplane, you're limited by its wing angle, the power of its engines, and like the ability, if you like get too high in the atmosphere, then you run out of air density and you can't stay afloat anymore. And it just starts to sink back down to an area where the air is dense enough that the plane can still fly.
Wow. It'd be scary though. Fun, but scary.
Let's see. CRJ 900.
I really wish you hadn't shown me that Land Cruiser 78 because now I'm going to be back there today.
Oh,
I'm
hell
gonna
yeah.
have to.
Hey, if you get it, see, that's the long boy. You've seen him everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thinking about how, like, yeah, relative to like a 737 or something.
Yeah, it's not a wide body, it's a tiny body. So you've got just these thin wings, thin frame, T-tail, and 2 engines in the back. And it's just made for jumping in between cities. He says if you're on a commuter flight, you want the 900, you don't want the 700. The 700 has only one bathroom and it's in the back. If you get a 900, there's a bathroom in the back and the bathroom in the front.
Mm-hmm.
So when the P parade starts, this plane, the 900, there's not going to be a wait in the bathroom because people can go to both ends. But if you're in a 700, the 700 sucks. They also have a 600, which is even shorter, but that has less people. So one bathroom's fine. Like, I think there was a whole article in like one of the Jalopnik subsets of how the CRJ 700 is the worst plane design because it's like 80 people with one bathroom versus 100 people with 2 bathrooms.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's just the last time you went to the bathroom on a plane?
Dude, I pee every time.
Do you?
I paid for this seat. My piss is going in the. I piss and I shit.
I hate it. It's so small. Like, I just like everything about it. I'm just like, if I can go before.
Dude, I got my Bluetooth headphones on. I'm listening to my music that's back in my seat. I'm jamming here. I mean, of course, you know, if I'm flying like from coast to coast, I get my free gin and tonics. I'm drinking. I'm having a good time.
All right. Yeah,
I'm eating the charcuterie platter.
Yeah. 4 to 5 hours, you're going to have to.
Yeah.
But like for me, like a lot of them, I mean, even going to Portland, there's a lot of times no direct flight. So it's like a 2 hour and a 2 hour.
Portland, Oregon? Oh, yeah. The American doesn't have a direct to Portland.
No,
you got to go through either O'Hare or you got to go through Dallas, and you probably should go through Dallas.
I went through Dallas the last time and O'Hare on the way back. But there was one before that. I don't think it was American. I went through Atlanta, which was a really odd flight. Right? Because you're going like farther and then you're coming back.
Supposedly there's going to be the new interior for, well, that's first class.
So probably 4 across normal.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be 2 across normal, I think. At least, well, Tony was telling me with his company that it's 2 across. Bombardier CRJ. Oh, that's charter jets. I don't know. That's like business, the whole thing. The whole thing with the Bombardier series is like the best seat on these planes is not first class. It's the first row of economy because the leg room is like almost from me to the end of that table because that's where the separation is between the 2 types of seats.
Yeah.
And it is boss up there. I think they make you pay like an extra $40 for that seat. Totally worth it. At least for American, it's considered like premium economy. So you still get like 1 drink.
Yeah.
And for most of the flights, like 2 hours. So like whatever.
Right. No, I had that actually not the last time I went to Portland, but the time before that, I had that very thing on a 737.
Yeah.
And that seat with a little bit of extra legroom, but it was one of those because I refused to pay the upgrade. I'm just like, whatever the cheapest is, I'm gonna hate flying in the first place. I don't like it. I get motion sick coming back down. So I'm just like, whatever the cheapest option is, this is what I'm going with. And it ended up like that was what was left was like that, like right before the separation of first class. So
you should treat yourself, honestly. Treat yourself to emergency row, or if that makes your anxiety, first row of economy if it's available. Pay the extra money.
Yeah,
you'll enjoy yourself like way more. And yeah,
I've thought about first class even, but that's what I mean is like either way, I'm going to get this motion sickness coming back down. Right. So like I can pay $400 to fly, but I'm still going to be like,
no, that sucks, man.
It's not extreme, but it's there. You know, that's why I love driving. Like if I can do it in a day trip, I'm driving there.
Yeah. Well, we've been going for 2 hours now. I think it's time to wrap this up. One last check on Super Chats. Refresh this page. Finagle a Bagel and Silverwind 990 says, oh, that's the guy with the RSX. Yep, that's it. So thank you, everybody who donated to Super Chats. Your money it just goes toward our travel budget, so we aren't traveling anywhere, so we're just banking it, man. I have my upcoming trip whenever my car is ready to be collected and repaired. That's me going down to Atlanta, Georgia, and driving back home. Nick doesn't have any travel plans. Thank you to everybody who donates to our Patreon every month. That money also fuels our travel budget, which we will definitely dip into once it's safe to do so. Thank you to everybody who watched this podcast with me and Ben. And one last super chat, Jacob McElwee? What does that look like to you? McGillicuddy. Doesn't have a question, just has a fist bump animated GIF. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Tomorrow's Christmas Day. You will get a Christmas special, as is tradition every year with RCR, a very unusual vehicle, which will air at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Thank you for Ben. Thank you for the fancy beers.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Ben will definitely be gone again and again. So, because you're right down the road, we got to do your truck then. We haven't really. I don't think we tackled Tundra ever.
Not the first gen.
Not the first gen.
I don't know
Tundra.
if you've done the second though, but I've checked for the first. I don't remember.
I think I was driving my old landlord's Tundra for a while, but that was like a point of view, and I think I was just talking about something else. That was when I was getting the engine for the Falcon a million years ago.
Yeah.
See, also 4 years ago. SR Red Wolf said, "What? No trains, Ben? I don't understand that. Trains?
Oh, you were talking last week about how you don't ever review a train.
Oh yeah.
So maybe he was asking because I've had 19 cars that have never had a train. I don't know.
There's one guy who says you should do a train who keeps asking me to do a train, and I'm like, the logistics train people are so excited about trains. But trains are a logistical nightmare to film because the rules are more restrictive in a train yard or next to a rail yard than they are for airplanes.
But train people, it's like religious fanatics. Like when you start talking to a train person about a train, just block out the next hour because they're just like, let me tell you everything about trains. I don't know why.
Because trains, you don't steer.
No, it's just on a track.
It's a spreadsheet. You got to plan. I guess it's like super, like you like planning your stops and like there's this big complicated orgy of logistics and planning and communications, and I don't get it.
And they make, I mean, I've heard they make decent money, like conductors or the equivalent. I don't know if that's like engineers and conductors.
Yeah, I have a friend who lives out near Hershey. I think he lives in Elizabethtown, who was a train engineer, and his union is like the Irishman.
Yeah.
He's like, he says, I know what it's about, but I am safe here in this. And he's not a trained nut. I mean, he knows the language. He's more of a Subaru guy. Like that's his thing. Is like, well, he like leased a Subaru or something like that, and already, did the Cobb thing to it.
That's a weird thing to lease. No judgment, but it is.
Yeah, I mean, he wanted a new. They drive good.
Yeah.
I
guess it's not an unreasonable thing to lease if you're looking at like an STI WRX where you're like, it
wasn't an STI, it was a WRX.
Okay. I mean, I can see it. See it.
Unless he's going to like text me now and says, no, I did get an STI. The whole thing with Subarus to me is that the threshold to make power. Initially, it's cheap. Here's your Cobb stage 1, and you realize, hey, this woke the car up. It's kind of lively now. But then it just ramps up like crazy. Right. It's not like LS thing where it's just cheap from beginning to end. And tuning an LS and making power out of an LS is only expensive if you want it to look nice, like visually look nice. They look like dog shit, and you make 900 horsepower.
And you can buy the cheap alternative, and it's fine.
Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah. But anyway, like he works on trains, and like the union is strong, and He's just set for life. He will only change careers if it becomes so emotionally intolerable with his coworkers that he has to leave and do something else. But again, yeah, the people who you can't really own a train unless you also own a skyscraper, and then you can have a train yard and then choo your way around.
But you can buy tracks.
Really?
You can buy like sections of train, like what is the one down just at the bottom of Molino Hill? What is it called? It's not Reading. There's some rail company. Like there's a little like corporate security headquarters right there on the corner.
Where?
On 61, right at 895.
Oh, that building. Yeah.
Whatever. It's like Port Clinton is in the name or something is in the name.
Is that Muller's office? The Reading and Northern Railroad?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's Reading and Northern.
I thought their office was down there in Port Clinton, but I know the building you're talking about. Yeah.
But like that, like they're buying up tracks. They're just like, oh, you don't want this train track anymore? We'll buy it. And then if you own a train and you're like, hey, I want to take my train through here and I own the track, I can be like, all right, fine. Give me X amount of money for that's the way I understand that whole business is like basically you can buy sections of railroad.
People in the chat are saying you can buy a private car. Okay. So I can go 48 miles an hour and go kunka.
I want the trains from like 75, 100 years ago, right? With like a luxurious dining car and like a full staff and like.
And we can talk about the Aboriginal people and their benefit to integrating them into society.
There's downsides.
While eating mushrooms, by eating sauteed mushrooms.
No, but that's what I mean, that luxurious.
And drinking port.
Yeah, right.
Out of tiny glasses with tall stems.
Yeah, like they're serving you a 4-course
and repressing
meal.
Our sexuality to disastrous levels.
Yeah, all right. There's some downsides. There's some definite. There's some definite
trackage rights people are talking about.
Trackage rights?
I guess that's the name for paying me money.
I'm saying all of this and have no idea what I'm talking about.
Me
so
neither.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody who are listening and thanking on listening to us rip on trains. Yeah, quite profitable. I respect trains for freight and bulk goods. Thank you, trains. Snowpiercer sucked. That's a horrible movie. I'm glad Chris Evans got paid, and as well as Gene from the Space Tom Hanks movie. That guy who's in that actor who's in everything.
Yeah, always little bit parts.
Yeah, bit parts, but you know, he Family Guy made a joke like he's the actor who is really silent after the climax is over. What's his name? I have to know now. He's been in a million movies. And I don't know if he's ever won an award. People in the chat will get through this before I do. Apollo 13 cast. Ed Harris.
Yeah.
Ed Harris.
Good actor, too.
He's a good, yeah. Now I need to know everything about Ed Harris. Did he ever get the nod? Has he gotten a nod from the Academy at least? Ed Harris, actor. When was he born? 1948? 1950.
You were close.
Man. Hell of a jaw for a guy who's in his 70s.
Right?
Look at that.
Took care of himself.
Yeah, he did. Awards and nominations. New York Film Circle.
American Academy of Retailers.
Toronto Film Critics, Satellite Award. He got BAFTA a bunch of times. Dallas, Fort Worth, London. Screen Actors Guild. That's not Actors Guild. That is not Oscars.
But
that's
that's
a Motion
SAG.
Picture Academy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, it's still reputable. Like, it's still saying something.
The dude
about
never
it.
stopped working. He
He
even
just
won
kept
a
going.
Saturn Award, Primetime Emmy Award. Oh, he's in Westworld a bunch. So he won a bunch from Westworld.
I've never watched that show.
Me neither. Apocalypta.
I never watched Game of Thrones either.
Yeah.
A lot of people judge me for that.
No, I didn't watch it either. Fuck it. So, Ed Harris.
The Ed Harris Podcast.
Yeah. Okay. So, that's it. That's RCR Podcast 80, whatever this is. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year's. We'll probably be back next week. Maybe Nick will be free. And that's it. So I'm Brian.
I'm Ben.
Have a good night. See you tomorrow. Watch the video tomorrow. I gotta pee. Good night. Bye.